Well, there's no question. I'm proud of the effort of our players and the improvement. I thought we got better while the game was going on. I think to start the game with the run that we had, and then to start the second half with the run that we had, and it was all keyed off of our defense. And there's no doubt that when we play with defensive intensity and have the energy to match it, and we're active, that we have a chance to create some havoc. And that's what we did. Because there's going to be nights where we don't shoot it as well. Tonight was one of those nights. It's the least of my concerns when it comes to offense, because we have good shooters. It just didn't go down tonight. But this game was about the hustle game. It was about the offensive rebound and something that we really needed to improve upon, the overall rebounding, our defensive intensity, the energy, keeping the running game on. And I think that we did that. For them to have 8 second-half points 12 minutes into the second half was a great statement to how hard and intense and effective our guys were playing defensively. We got a lot of deflections. Victor had 17 deflections. It's the most we've had at Indiana. And really good. Probably obviously would have had more if I'd have kept him in even longer. But we got a lot of activity. And we had activity on the backboards, activity defensively. We moved the ball well. And the 19 assists is not even indicative of how well the ball moved tonight. It was at a really good rate. Our interior passing took some real steps forward, and we knew we were playing a good team. We were playing two guys that were shooting 43% from the three, and a team that knows what they want to do. They know who they are. They know how they want to score, and they're quick. Much like Savannah State was quick the other night, this team was quick with the ball, probably better shooting it off the dribble. But a good second half for us, a good start, and we just keep getting closer and closer to trying to keep putting 40 minutes together at a high rate.
Tom, besides his scoring, Derek getting 9 rebounds in 15 minutes, can you talk about?
Well, it's really important. I've said this before. I think we have 7 starters. He's one of them, and that can change maybe from week to week or a couple days to a couple days, but he's good enough to be a starter on this team. He just doesn't start, but he did in the second half, and we needed to spark, and I thought that he brought that in the first half, and he didn't lead us to believe anything different in the second half. He's playing with a lot of confidence because he's healthy, and I think when you look back at the season that he had a year ago, it's got to start with the fact that he never really was healthy, and it was always something that held him back, and right now he doesn't have that. So that's really important, and he's improved. He's a diligent worker. He had a great offseason when it comes to the way we worked in the spring. I don't think there's any question he got better in the summer. He's been very good in our fall, and we can feel him and see him getting better constantly inside of our practices. So he's a product of his work and his health.
Tom, the way Victor stepped it up defensively in the second half, you talk about that, especially that one sequence there where he was everywhere.
Well, he turned it up a couple gears, and that's the Victor consistency meter that we're going to follow from here on out, because consistency for him is a little different than others, because he does have a motor that's very impressive. He's got length, he's got athleticism, he's got toughness, he's got grit, and defensive intensity has got a lot to do with skill and toughness. Rebounding's got a lot to do with technique and energy and grit. You put it all together and you get somebody that's playing with a high motor, they're going to be good at a lot of things. And Victor's got a chance to be good at an awful lot of things. And tonight, again, his defense keyed our team and keyed his offense.
What's he done just to become a more disciplined defender, I guess? I mean, it seems like a year ago.
Buys into what's important and doesn't take chances. Doesn't reach. He's improved his athleticism. There's no question that these guys are getting a lot better in so many areas, and the athleticism and strength is a huge part, and that's Coach Jackson has just done a phenomenal job. But it's discipline, it's maturity, it's technique is better. His hand positioning is much better, and he's starting to really realize the length that he has. We went through this with Dwayne Wade. He had a +7 wingspan, and he didn't realize what that really meant. You know, when he would spread out on the ball, whether it was on the ball or especially off the ball, it was like having a 7-footer out there. Well, Victor's got some of that on the ball, and he doesn't have the +7 wingspan, but when he spreads out, he really plays, and he's really gotten a lot better at understanding that those hands can't be inside his body. They've got to constantly be outside, and his hands are extremely quick, and so he's controlling the dribbler a lot better. He was frustrated the other night because there were a couple foul calls that went against him that I questioned, because he never had his hands on the dribbler. So he's doing everything that we're asking him to do, but when he turns that up, that's not coaching, that's a gift from God. And that's the level of athleticism he has inside of him.
Derek said he kind of saw tonight times where he was maybe in defenders' heads to the point that they were making mistakes just because they saw him coming. I mean, is he getting that? No, I meant Victor.
Oh, Victor. I was going to say Derek.
Do you feel like he's kind of gaining that reputation among a?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Reputation doesn't mean much. I think he's such an effective defender that I would hope so. I don't know many people that want to bring the ball up against him. But again, it's team defense, and he's only as good as the help behind him. And I thought, when you're getting in the mid-50s in deflections, you've got a lot of guys playing well. Cody again was high, had a good number of deflections tonight, and Christian had his season high of 8. There was a lot of activity. And I thought the guys that played in the second half, we didn't play bad in the first half, but we took it up a couple of gears in the second half. And I think it was great for them to see that they're capable of that.
Coach, building off that, the second half.
Building off what?
The playing better in the second half, like the perimeter defense, was that any point of emphasis at halftime, like shutting down the 3-point?
Well, it's always a point of emphasis. It is, and I don't think we played bad. I mean, we had an 11-point lead at halftime, but I think everybody in our locker room knew we could play a lot better. So perimeter defense, post defense, digs, deflections, rotations, weak side help, transition defense, how we finish with the block out, those things are always paramount. So there's never a time that those things aren't at the forefront of our adjustments, our talk, our game planning, our post-game, whatever it is, it's a huge part of it. Just like moving the ball is on offense.
You had a flurry of points from Will in the second half. What's it mean to have that kind of instant offense from a bench?
Again, he's a starter. He's a starter on this team. I think we can really look at it and see that we have 7 guys that are pretty capable of starting on this team, and with maybe more to come down the road. But he played a defensive-minded game. And I think it's a great example of he was so locked into defense, to guarding his man, to putting more pressure, to getting more deflections, to being more communicative off the ball, which is really important for him because, to me, he's one of our better backline players, whether we're in a zone or whether he's behind the play and the ball's out in front of him. If he's in the help side, he's very smart and he's cerebral, and he's got good communication skills. He wasn't nearly as talkative. None of us were in the first half after we got up and got the lead. But I think, again, the energy that he showed on defense carried into the confidence on offense. He got great shots. He got great looks. The ball moved. He didn't force anything. He wasn't hunting anything. And he was a product of good ball movement and good energy and good activity.
Is it a sign of Verdell's maturity that he didn't try to force anything? He only had the one shot?
Oh, Verdell's playing excellent. He really is. Verdell is playing excellent. And he sat out a little bit longer in the second half because Victor was playing so well. And it was pretty much Verdell's idea. And that's maturity. But when you've got guys that enjoy watching their teammates play, even when they're not in, and then going and try to raise the level of the game. I thought Verdell came out in the second half and showed tremendous leadership of making sure that our team had a serious approach, that we were going to turn it up. And I thought it started with him. I think Christian was a big part of that. Victor was a big part of that. And I think, let's not forget that Cody had a really good second half. Cody was very active in the second half, especially on the defensive side. And everybody turned it up. And so really we can single out some with numbers, but there's nobody that you can look at and say, well, they didn't really bring it. They did.
Tom, what's the difference in the assist-to-turnover ratio this year at the start of the season compared, I think you've been in the plus to all 5 games, where last year it was up and down, up and down?
Decision making, maturity, more scoring. The guys don't have to do as much themselves. Remember, we've always been in the past, I've said this so many times, but you know it as well as I do, we've always had players on the court that maybe scoring wasn't their forte and the defense knew it. So maybe things sometimes would appear to be open that they really weren't. We're stronger. We're not having those. I think the biggest thing in answer to your question is we're not having those soft turnovers. We're not having those lose the ball because they took it from us or because our positioning was bad, and we're not trying to jam the ball in areas that it's not there. So decision making is a huge part. Strength, toughness, ball toughness is a big part of it. And even again, like Verdell threw one down the middle of the court, I wasn't mad at all. We're going to have some turnovers when we're running the floor, and they've got to be smart. But he had one the other night where he could have gone one way or the other with it. In a split-second timing of decision-making, he didn't make the right one. You know what, so what? I mean, we're playing aggressive. And when you're aggressive, you're going to have a few. It's when you're just dribbling or you're trying to force something that's not there. Those are the turnovers that are bad. And I think when we have a turnover now, it's a pretty aggressive one.
How much?
5 games in 10 days?
Is that what it's been?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was 3 and 6.
What does this break give you a chance to really be able to do?
Well, it won't be much of a break because we'll be getting ready for an extremely difficult game on Sunday night, and then we'll turn around and go on the road again to North Carolina State. So what we've done with our practices, even yesterday, it's a good question because in the past, we were so oriented on getting ready for the next game. And we've spent a ton of time making sure that we're getting better inside of those practices. So maybe we walk through the plays a little bit, or maybe we do it a little bit more at the end. And even today, our walkthrough today was probably 35, 40 minutes. It wasn't that long. And we feel like if we're getting better, if our synergy is better defensively, if we're moving the ball better offensively, other things are going to come. We came out of timeouts tonight, and we were really good. And we had a couple things that we hadn't even practiced, that when they're locked in and focused, they come out and they make those plays. In the first half, we weren't as good on some things that we've been running for a while because our concentration wasn't as good at the end of the first half. So the other part of your question, it'll give them a chance to rest up a little bit mentally, where it's not every day we know we're getting ready for the next game, but in their minds, they will be. They know we've got some really big things coming up, and they've earned the right to be in games like that, with a Final Four team like Butler and an ACC school like NC State. And certainly when Stetson comes, it's going to be a big deal because of the 87 team here, and then it's Kentucky and Notre Dame. So there's not a lot of rest, but mentally this will give them a chance to recharge a little bit while we continue to really lock into our fundamentals.
With the schedule getting tougher like that, where does this team need to improve the most to maintain what they've been doing?
Well, we just need to get better. I don't think you can pinpoint one area, and because the moment you pinpoint one or two areas on either side of the ball is the moment you're letting something go, and we don't build it that way. I mean, it's constantly trying to get better at what we already feel like we're doing a pretty good job of, and there's a list of things that this time will give us to improve upon right now, but they've been playing well, and this is not a situation where we've been challenged by different things in every game, whether it's quickness, whether it's size, whether it's strength and toughness, whether it's going on the road to Evansville, whether it's great shooting like tonight. So all those things, you just keep maxing out what you can learn from those games, and at the same time prepare for the long haul.
How much of a positive is it to get 12 solid minutes from Matt Roth, 3 assists, he had a block?
It was good. How about the block? Yeah, that'll be a YouTube clip. So Ripley's Believe It or Not, actually, but I think I put him in first, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we need him to be in crucial moments, and we need him to do more than just take shots. And he's learning that, and he's a play-on-demand guy, and that's a term I learned a long time ago from Scott Skiles, who was actually at the game tonight. And it was players have to be ready to play on demand. And the best players that come off the bench, it's not about when they're going in, it's not about what time they're going to go in or what their matchup's going to be. They're always ready when you need them. And Matt went in a little earlier tonight by design because I wanted him to be in those situations. I might have experimented a little bit too much in the first half. And we probably lost a little bit of rhythm, but we didn't experiment a lot in the second half. It was more, we've got to get our defense right.
Coach, Derek talked a little bit about the trust that this team has in one another this year. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that comes from them. That's not a coaching thing, that's a player thing. And I think it's a maturity. I think there's no question that when you're together as much as they are, you're going to continue to get closer, you're going to continue to bond, but we scrimmage a lot. We haven't the last week to 10 days because of so many games, but I think that helps build that trust and togetherness. And we've got a lot of guys that really want to get better, and I think when you have that, it'd be different if there were one or two guys that were not locked into improving. I don't think that'd go over real well in that locker room, and we don't have anybody that's like that. So I think that part of the trust is good. But Derek's the philosopher. Even he had him over here. Derek's the philosopher. So whatever Derek says, I'm co-signing.
How much better is Vic's handle, and how much is that helping you guys?
Much better, much better, and it had to be. It had to be for him to. That was one of the main. That was the main area, along with decision making in the spring, that he really needed to get better at. And all spring we worked on that. All summer I know he worked on it because you could see it, and that's a huge part of it. But it means a lot to him. He wants to be a complete player. He wants to be a pure guard. And he's developing that. I thought the other night when he had that 2-dribble pull-up out of the left wing and drove it into the middle of the floor, that's something that he really wasn't doing a year ago. And his decision-making is climbing all the time because all of his skills are getting better. And his ball handling is a big part of that.
Anything else for Coach?
Winning these games by these margins, is that something you can build on for the rest of the season, or it's just?
Well, I think every game's an experience. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. In every game's an experience. We get ready for the games, we learn from the games, but it's so much about making sure that this team is refining every area. And we do so much shell drill and closeout work and blockout work and all those things. And I think those things come to life in the game, and it gives them confidence. So I want them to be confident. They have no reason not to be, but they also can't get cocky or arrogant. They've got to keep getting better, and we're 5 games in, we're a week and a half in, and we know that we've got a lot of really good teams we're going to face before the Big Ten comes, starting with Sunday night. So improvement's the key, and as long as you're improving, your confidence is probably going to be pretty high.